One of the world's largest providers of cloud services for delivering, optimizing, and securing online content, nowadays responsible for serving between 15 and 30% of all web traffic. Even the official US government White House website uses their technology for hosting videos of President Obama. Ready to meet at the Webit stage, Ian Munford, Director of Product Marketing and Enablement for Media Solutions at Akamai Technologies.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As the lady said, my name is Ian Munford, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Media Solutions at Akamai. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to provide you with a little bit of learning that we've gathered from sort of 15-odd years of delivering video over the internet. In particular, I'm going to focus on the importance of measuring and understanding what's actually happening with your consumers. My aim is to inform. I hope to excite, but I'll be happy with a smile and a clap at the end. Before we go into that, just allow me the obligatory 60-second pitch from an Akamai perspective. For those of you who do not know Akamai, if you've ever streamed any video or downloaded music from the internet, the chances are you've actually used one of our services. We were formed in 1998 from MIT, and in effect, we exist to deal with the complexity and the sometimes chaos and the congestion of working in the internet, securing content, and I guess most importantly, working in the cloud. And we do that using math, not hardware. We don't run networks and we don't own data centers. We sit in the internet. I'm not going to go through all the figures, but in effect, roughly Akamai delivers about 15 to 30% of all daily web traffic. That effectively corresponds to about 2 trillion transactions a day. We're talking, big figures. I say that for no other reason apart from what we can see coming towards us in the future, which I'll talk about at the end of the session. From a media perspective, we're obviously well known in terms of our media and video delivery, but Akamai has a range of other workflow capabilities such as storage, transcoding, protecting content, analytics, media players, etc. And if anything I say today is of interest, then our team is here for you to talk to. Okay. So, I hope I don't have to say to this audience that video traffic is growing. The figures speak for themselves, and again, I won't necessarily talk through the figures. What I will say is the following. The numbers are getting big. They're going to get bigger. And more importantly, from a commercial perspective, they're starting to drive real revenues. Video, in terms of internet advertising, revenue compound annual growth rate is outstripping everything else. That tells me, and all of us in this audience who have some part to play in that workflow and that value chain, is we need to be thinking and taking this very, very seriously. And thinking about, more importantly, the sophistication of what we're doing with our consumers. What do those figures look like? And I thought what I'd do is I'd just kind of throw up some figures here so you can see what that feels like from a consumer marketing perspective. I've used the example here of the recent World Cup. And clearly, I shouldn't really be doing this, but I've compared with 2010 and 2014. What these figures tell us is really the following. First of all, the quality of content being delivered out there is getting better. Broadband is catching up in terms of bandwidth and bit rates, and consumers are starting to stream higher and higher quality. There are more of them doing it. I'm just showing there the peak viewer. that we had for one particular match, which was about 5 million on a global basis. And also, they're watching more, and they're watching more of the content that we're making available. So for me, again, what this really says is the blur between traditional linear TV and delivery across the internet is starting to disappear. The key thing is it gives us all real opportunities. It gives us opportunities to engage with our consumers and audiences. It gives us an opportunity to generate additional revenue. But it's not easy. And if anybody is involved in video distribution, you will know that. So looking at what keeps audiences engaged, and I think the first thing, I'm not going to talk too much about content in this session. That's worth a good hour worth of debate and discussion. I will say that in terms of content, I assume, again, people will understand the benefits of premium content as well as a wide range of genres that your markets, your particular audience, and your consumers really want to get hold of. What I will say, though, is how you present that content, how you package that content, and how you deliver, for example, ad roles within that content is actually quite important, and we'll touch on that bit later. The device landscape is getting really quite complex. The number of devices, the screen sizes, etc., is on a daily basis getting more complex. And this isn't easy for you to manage. It's an important aspect because it delivers against a quality metric, which I'm going to talk about. And I think the other aspect here, we may touch on upon this later on, is the quality of delivery. So from a consumer market perspective, that now becomes one of the real standout points, certainly in terms of the way perhaps your consumers will return, will become advocates of your service and help you generate revenue. Now, what I want to do is just touch upon a couple of quick points. First of all, in terms of quality and measuring quality. If you have a look at this chart, this was, so you know, compounded from some research that we did within Akamai, covering roughly about 450 million minutes of video. So there's some real metrics that you can take away here. So startup abandonment, and it's a 2-second rule. If your video is taking longer than 2 seconds to load from a consumer perspective, you will start to see abandonment. The interesting thing here is looking at the difference between various genres. And if you look at sport, you can see that abandonment rises 5 times over a 2-second startup. Now, that's something that you need to take into account. You need to know this, and you need to deal with the challenge of why that's actually happening. Rebuffer. Again, 2-second rule. And if you look at the genres and the differences between, for example, news and episodic TV, you'll see a marked change in the acceptance of the consumer market of something which is rebuffering. Here, you've got a 13 times abandonment rate. I just want to kind of be clear on that. That abandonment rate means that that consumer is not an advocate, they've gone elsewhere, and you are no longer engaging with them. So this now, as a quality metric, becomes very important. Finally, just very quickly going to touch on ads. Again, from a genre perspective, you've got very marked differences in the way that consumers will accept or not accept ads in pre-roll or mid-roll within a particular piece of content. And in effect, what this chart is showing us, I hope you can see the figures, is that pre-roll abandonment is clearly much higher than mid-roll, but the genre also has a massive impact on that. So I'm throwing these figures up for no other reason but to give you a perspective in terms of what's important within the consumer market. And understanding these metrics gives you the opportunity to really hone both your marketing, your genre strategy, and actually the way that you're delivering that content to the consumer market. So analytics have been around for a long, long time, and there are many great solutions and capabilities out there. My assertion, however, is from a media analytics perspective, and just showing you some of those graphs very quickly. I do appreciate this is a very quick presentation, but showing you the difference and the granularity that you need to think about in terms of not just the way that consumers are behaving with content, but the way that they're actually engaging with it is actually very important. The other aspect here, which I'd like to talk about, is the fact that if you're not capturing this information, you could possibly just be shooting in the dark. So I'm going to give you an example. When we look at, with our customers, the reasons for example, poor quality of delivery or the experience of delivery, we often find, and actually it's over 75% in cases of bad delivery, that the challenge is actually not in the delivery. It's in the way that content perhaps has been transcoded or encoded, or a challenge in the last mile with the actual device or the player. You would not know that unless you are having a complete end-to-end view of what is happening. And again, I use that example of end-to-end being absolutely critical. So what we would suggest is, from an analytics perspective, you need to understand the audience analytics. You need to understand usage statistics, viewer summaries, what they're doing with your content on a geographical or regional basis. You need to understand the connection, the quality of service, the packaging challenges that perhaps the consumer's having. And actually, when a consumer is having a problem, what you also need to do is make sure that you can, in a real-time basis, understand what's going on and fix it. I'm out of time, so a very quick 10 minutes. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed.